Born into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
Hello, my dear friends. It's me, Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. Hey, for tonight and for up until the 22nd of February, we are going to be replaying our shows from last year's community mission to serve our heroes or serve our veterans. Why are we doing this? So you can go back and you can see what that 22-hour show was all about. We are replacing tonight's show, honoring our heroes, both country and community, with this episode. The other shows are going to be staggered throughout the week. We're going to be throwing them in. This one is hours 1 and 2. So I really hope you enjoy what you see. Please do remember, this is very early in the morning that I recorded these episodes right here. So, very, very early for those of you here in the mountain time, 2 in the morning is when I started this. You can still tell because I've still got all the gum in my mouth from the damn teeth. It's what happens when you like lose all your teeth in a motorcycle accident. So, but I do want you all to know that we are still looking for people to tell their stories. Right here, this QR code right here, it's going to be up for the entire show. Please make sure that you scan this QR code. Come on, tell us your story. Tell us your solutions. Share. We are looking to save veteran and current soldier lives. We want to make the lives better for our heroes. They give up their lives for us to have the lives that we want. Join us. Sponsor. Join us. Tell your story. Do what you want. Real quick, I want to give a huge thank you to the Colorado Grit and everyone, all 70 of you who came out and joined us and cheered on the Grit. We lost in overtime, but damn it was a fun game. And the kids had a blast. We had a lot of kids. I know our kids, the kids that were watching from New Mexico, they had a hell of a time. Our little girl running around here, Abby, she's still running around here freaking out about it. She wants to go back so bad. By the way, we went skating the next day. And guys, I'm sorry about the divot I left in the corner. You know, my fat ass fell. Sorry about that. So it's now a speed bump. But here we go. This is our 1 and 2. Please enjoy. If you have any questions, get a hold of us right here. Let's get this started. Let's get the stories told. Let's support our heroes who need us. For the next 22 hours, we are going to be talking to people within my program, the program that I started 8 years ago, 7 years ago, when I was run off the road and left in the ditch. And these are people that if you shop with them, they will make a donation to the mission of your cause. For the next 22 hours, if you shop with any of these individuals, well, guess what? You can choose this cause. Actually, you can choose this cause throughout the month of, throughout the year. Let's be honest. There's only one of these missions so far that is not one of our partners. And we're working on that. As soon as they get their golf course
or their golf tournament done, we're going to be getting them as well. So we're going to be talking to some great people throughout the day. Bartholomew, Veterans Honoring Veterans, Janet Hathaway with uh, um, uh, Healing Warriors. Hopefully J.R. Smith. I don't know. I haven't heard back from him from Veterans Ranch. I know he was with me all 22 hours last year, and he said, Zach, if I'm going to be with you, it's damn sure not going to be listening to you for 22 hours. And I told him, JR, if I'm with me, I'm damn sure not going to listen to me for 22 hours. I also want to bring this up, and one of the next one is the veteran or the paranormal giving tree. I am thrilled for the first time to have my shows brought to you on Things Network. Many of you guys on Things Network know who I am. I am Mr. Adrian, and that's my job, and I'm sticking to it. You know, so it's great to meet you, and I hope to have as much participation with you as I possibly can. Please feel free to reach out and ask any questions. I'll get them answered. And please make sure that you guys ask questions of our guests. I ask you to dedicate at least 22 minutes of this day to watching one of these stories. We are going to hear some stories that are tough to listen to. We're going to hear some stories that are great to listen to. We're going to hear stories of success. We're going to hear stories of failures. We're going to hear stories of all kinds. But the thing that we're going to hear the most is we love you and we don't want you to go away. So please, please, please. The other thing we're going to try to do is we're going to try to construct the conversation to where we can stop losing our heroes. You guys gave up portions of your life for us. Let's come together for them. Okay. Next, we've got new to the program. It's G.I. Josie. They deal with the problems that women veterans have after their service. Project Die Hard, Brian Gibson will be here sometime throughout the day. And Hope Advanced. And then you're going to hear me talk quite a bit about Community Dare to Care. What the hell? I couldn't even remember my own company's name. Community Dare to Care, where we turn a donation from you of clothing or housewares or something like that, we turn that into needs for people who are out there, and we don't charge for it. You look at one of my rooms upstairs, it looks like a very eclectic closet full of clothes for people. So there are a lot of things up there. I'm going to be joined by all kinds of guests today. Our first guest, many of you guys know this guy because he's on my channel. He's on Things Network. He's on, well, he's just everywhere. I mean, the guy, he's a superstar, pretty much. I know he's my superstar, and of course I say that because he's my boss, so I kind of have to say that. But he's going to be joining us here in anywhere from 6 minutes to half an hour from now. So I want to give a real quick shout out to a couple of my sponsors who are also going to be joining us later on today. The first one is the gentleman that the whole reason we're able to keep this going is because of the work he does. This is Mr. Z at Z World Webs. So I'm wondering, okay, and I just thought of this, and of course, I created that video that you just saw. There's a new juice commercial with a mom that says, if this place can create this drink with 100% fruit juice, that's a diet drink that tastes as good, I can overcome my fear of clowns. I think that's the same clown. I'm not positive on that, but I think that's the same clown. I laugh my butt off every time that commercial comes on. That lady high kicks that clown, and it's just like I kind of want to cheer. Not because I condone violence, but well, clowns are kind of weird. I'm not going to say creepy. I don't think they're creepy. I just think they're kind of weird, you know. Then again, I think actors are creepy too. I'd like to see somebody kick Tom Cruise in the face every once in a while as well. That's just me. So, hey, everybody, once again, my name is Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. I want to welcome you to Community Mission to Rescue 22. This is our once a year 22-hour podcast where we get together with you and start the conversation to save veteran lives. They're not paying my bills. I don't want to give them any free credits. Once again, we are going to be joined by quite a few different people, and I want to let you know that if you have anything that you would like to add, I ask you to please put it in the comments, or if you have some experience, shoot us a message, okay? Shoot me a text message, shoot me an email, shoot me whatever you have. Um, okay, but don't do it to these because that's not my stuff. All right, here we go. This is my card, and all you have to do is shoot me a message to one of these cards, or to this card, and when you do that, you can come on, you can talk about a story that maybe you know of. And I am now being joined by our first guest, which I am extremely excited about this. Like I said, this guy, he's not only a great friend, he's also my boss. So I pretty much was, forced to bring him on. He told me, "Damn it, you better have me on, or I'm going to do things." No, he didn't. This is just the way that we started the show last year, and I thought that he did some great things last year, so I'm proud to have him on again. Mr. Sean Winnington, the Rev. You've got a bird on your head.
Uh, it's Ash Wednesday, brother. I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that. I did not
Yeah.
know that. Please explain to me, ignoramus, what is Ash
Well,
Wednesday?
I didn't. I bet many people watching didn't. Well, let me first of all let me clear one thing up real quick. The real reason why I'm here, and it was so eloquently brought up to me by a friend of mine today who said, I'm gonna tune in to you tonight. I'm gonna have to set an alarm. You're on a show at 1:30 in the morning." I'm all, yeah. He goes, why? And I said, listen, Bert would do it for Ned. I know I'm not so much the Burt Reynolds type, but you are my Ned Beatty. I had to be here.
Well, I think we said it better the other way. We might have Ned Beatty and John Candy. I think that's or Danny DeVito and John Candy. I think that's what we got
That'll
going.
work.
So,
I have
um,
been told
go on ahead
plenty of
and
times.
explain what is Ash Wednesday. I don't. I
Well,
don't.
most people that don't really know that it's the beginning of Lent, and Lent is the holy time leading up to Jesus Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. So the ashes um, are the palms that we take from last year's Palm Sunday, and we burn those down and we put those ashes on our forehead. And Palm Sunday represents the day that Jesus arrived in Jerusalem just before he was arrested. And when he arrived, the people were so happy that he had arrived. He arrived riding a donkey, fulfilling scripture, but he everybody lined the streets with palms for his even the donkey that he rode on, those feet would never touch the ground. Um, and so that's the meaning behind Palm Sunday. So Palm Sunday, you usually go to mass and get your palms and save them, put them up on your wall, hang them from your crucifix, save them to the following Ash Wednesday, burn them and use them to put ashes on your head. Now the ashes represent God created us from dust, and to dust we will return. But having said that, being a follower of Christ, you will have ultimate victory over death.
Okay. Um. And I don't know, Sean, if I've ever seen anybody go that far. I'm just, is it something that a lot of Catholics say, okay, I'm going to support, my religion. I'm going to do everything, but I'm going to do it here at home. I'm not going to go out and walk around with, ashes on my head, because I honestly cannot remember ever seeing anybody uh,
Really.
with ashes on their head.
Um, you find out real quick the people around you that are at the very least Christian or believe in God or Catholics. Quick, because I'll go to work like this later today if they call me in. And because you'll get the people that will just give you that loving smile and maybe not even say anything, but that loving smile and just kind of look at your forehead and just they got that twinkle in their eye and they just give you the smile. Then there's people that look at you like, or and sometimes people will come up and try to wipe it off your head. Hey, you got some dirt on your forehead. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick on the draw and grab the wrist and say, no, 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 that's meant to be. Would you like me to tell you what that's about? It sometimes gives me an opportunity to do exactly what I just did with you. Explain to somebody what Ash Wednesday is. Um, and so that's the cool thing about that. But yeah, there are, right now, and it's always been like this in history, but in my lifetime, well, no, I was just about to tell a little fib, unknowingly tell a little fib. There have been other times in my life where I have experienced and seen extreme religious persecution, but right now it seems to be on high alert. Catholics and Christians are on high alert right now because it really seems to be religious persecution is making a big comeback. And I even think too many years ago when I almost did not the show I've got coming up in October of this year, but I almost did another show about exorcism and um, possession many years ago. And at that time, exorcists were being hunted by cultists and occultists and devil worshippers and people like that. And so we were all going to have to be on that show with fake names, aliases. In fact, my other, and I tell people this all the time now, many people reach out to me and say, why do you have a second profile on Facebook named Lawrence Morais? And well, my real name's on there too. I always say this is a stage name used for a show I almost did, yada yada yada, for security purposes. But my name is also on there, Sean Whittington, so they know that I'm not trying to hide anything. But Lawrence was my father's first name, and Morais was my mother's maiden name. So I used that name. I was prepared to use that name if we had done the show. And the show was greenlighted, and we were ready to go. But many people on the cast and crew came under extreme demonic attack, and some people came down with some illnesses that they couldn't recover from, and it just they had to scrap the project, and it never ended up making it to the screen.
Well, and as you've realized with this project you guys have coming up, uh, it's also kind of hard to get something off the ground because uh, that session of channels, that section of channels that you guys are working with, they move stuff around so much that you're going to get bumped when it comes to if one of their stars has something new to come out or whatever. So we were already supposed to be able to talk about what you're talking about, but of course we can't do that because you can't share with anybody what's going on. So
Yeah, I'll say this much, that everybody involved in the project, from the network to the production company to the cast and crew, everybody, we started working on this before the pandemic, and we are extremely, regardless of how it's received by the general population, the public, we're so proud of it, and it's very well done. And I think people are going to love it. We all love it, and we can't wait for October of this year to come out. But I also finished my second book, and it's sitting there at Stellium Books with my publisher, Annette. It's ready to go. I have a large chapter in there, all dedicated talking about the project. Well, because we can't talk about the project, I can't put the book out. For about that long, we considered maybe taking that chapter out, putting the book out anyway, and then later on I could do a revised version and put the chapter back in. But then after talking to some people in the know, and I don't know anything about that business, talking to some people in the know, they advised me, no, let's just be patient and hold on to the book for now. It'll do a lot better when it comes out, when the show comes out. So just be patient, and I'm cool with that too. So um,
yeah, the truth to this is you realized, oh my God, I'd have to write another book. No. So,
yeah, or a
Sean,
revised
you're
version is weird, So
yeah, that's almost like real work. No, I'm not doing that.
uh,
I'm not ready for that yet.
I'm not.
Sean, your first book, um, what inspired you to write uh what inspired you to become an author? I know that on your show we talk to tons of authors, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit, because your book is fascinating. But and for a skeptic, I think that your book is really eye opening. Because there are things in there. What got you into the realm of writing books?
Well, I don't consider myself an author. I think it's pretty eye-opening for myself that I accomplished that. It took me years to finish that first one, and the only reason why I even did it was because I was getting messages from spirit that I had a story to tell, and that I had messages that I needed to get out, and there would be people out there that would benefit from hearing those messages. And so it just got to the point where, after years of being bombarded by spirit telling me I needed to write this book, I just finally gave into it and went for it. But it didn't come easy. That first book was hard to write, because, like I said, I'm not a trained author. And here's the interesting thing about the second book. these were cases I worked over a number of years after becoming an ordained deliverance minister that I never planned on sharing. But as time went on, they became like a monkey on my back and just kind of a burden holding that stuff in. And I talked to many, many people in my field, fellow clergymen, who said, "No, you need to get that stuff out there and get it off, get that pressure off your back. Get because there's going to be people that are going to benefit from hearing those stories. You know, good versus evil, and good winning a lot, but sometimes not, and how people get themselves in these predicaments. But I'll tell you, when I sat down to write that second book, it's even longer. It's bigger than the first book, and I did it in like 3 months. Sharon was even worried about me because I just sat down one day at the kitchen table and I never got up. I got up to go to the bathroom and to eat, and I used to sometimes fall asleep right there at the table. I I channeled something and it just started flowing. And once I sat down and started doing it, and I'm old school, I do it pen to paper. And then when I'm done with a portion of it, I hand it to Sharon, who majored in college in English, and she would take it in here and she would reread it and do a little bit of editing herself. Then, of course, ultimately we would send it to the publisher, who would then do a final editing. But I plowed through that book. When I was finally done with it, I couldn't. I was like, this can't be right. I can't be done. There's no way. But I was done, and I obviously I channeled something that helped me write that book, and I do firmly believe that spirit was involved in helping me write the first book, because I had to really dig down deep and pull a lot of scabs off a lot of old wounds that I never intended on doing that in order to write that first book. So without the help of spirit, I probably wouldn't have written the first one or the second one.
Yeah. Or the third one. Um, that you're
It's
gonna
like
go
we
back
had
and
Joni on the other night on my show, and it's almost embarrassing when I have people like her on. It's almost embarrassing to hold my one little book up and plug it, because here she's got, like, what did she say, 28 books now,
yeah, yeah.
bestsellers worldwide. Um, it's it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not an author. It doesn't even affect me like I should stop because I'm no good because look at her. It's not even like that. It's like I look at these books sometimes and read them, and it it's like I'm somebody else reading somebody else's book, and I'm just as into it as any regular person that I don't even know that might have picked it up off the shelf in a bookstore and started reading it. It's like that. It's just a really interesting and odd in a good way feeling. It really is.
You know, um, and just to let everybody know, those of you who do not know who the Rev is obviously he's a paranormal minister. In which that's actually not even what we can call you. That's kind of the nickname, but you're going to school um, because you decided, oh, what the hell do I want to do? I know I'm going to go back to school. But you did it young, so it's okay. But
Not really. I'm an old fart, man. I just turned. I don't even remember how old I am now. I'm either 62 or 63. I was born in 1959, November. Um, but no, here we go back to the show again. On this set of this show, I met a Catholic bishop, and all growing up, my mother was very religious, and may she rest in peace. Growing up, she used to joke with me all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I was really a smart ass little kid, and I would say things like, fireman, policeman, um, pro football player, Spider Man. And she would say, "You should be a priest." And I thought that was the craziest thing anybody had ever said to me. So here we go. 55 years later, I'm on the set of a show, and I meet this Catholic priest, and I've worked, and after we had already worked together for a couple of weeks, I'm in a trailer one day on break, relaxing. He comes walking in there. He says, "I never do this, but something has led me in here to do this. I just wanted to tell you, you have a pure heart, and I wondered if you ever thought about the priesthood, because you would be a great priest. And if that's something you would consider, I would like to offer you entrance into the seminary of the United States Old Catholic Church. Well, as he's saying this, I didn't share this with him for a couple of weeks, but as he's saying this, I'm seeing my mother's face on his face, and I'm hearing her voice come out of his mouth saying that to me. How am I supposed to say no? I was already an ordained exorcist through a Christian university and an exorcist association. But how was I supposed to say no to that? It was meant to be, and I said, well, let's finish the project, and I'll be in touch with you afterwards. Here we go again. I'm constantly being bombarded by spirit after we were done, and I'm just lounging at the house doing whatever it is I do. Call the bishop, call the bishop, call the bishop. So I did, and he didn't guarantee me I would get in to the seminary. He said you're going to have like this group Zoom meeting in front of the Council of Bishops and go through an interview process, and you may not get accepted. I said, well, that's cool too. It's in God's hands. And normally, from what I understand, they after the interview they all get together without me present and then vote and decide. Well, during that meeting, before it was even over with, one of the bishops had said, listen, I'm ready to vote now if you all are. And they all said, yeah, we're ready. And they voted me in right then during this meeting. And I started crying like a baby, to be honest with you. It's very emotional. And it's hard, but it's hard in a good way. I'm learning about who I serve. Things that I'm a baptized Catholic all my life. First communion, baptized, then first communion, confirmation, Catholic schools all the way up to like the 5th grade. But I'm learning things that what I thought I knew about this 2,000-year plus old religion, I didn't know squat. And so the things I'm learning are just amazing and mind blowing, but it's hard, man. It's like I am always studying, always in a class, always, you know, always. As soon as we get done with one and we get our grades, boom, we get hit with another one. And they're usually 2 or 3 classes at a time. They get laid on you, and you got a couple of months to, get through them. It's all online. And I have other brothers in the Order of Saint Benedict and other priests that are in the same church that I reach out to, and we talk. And when I need help or some counseling or something, but it seems like I'm just uh, always studying, always in a class. And when I feel like, what did I do here? I already know that I don't feel worthy. It's to become a priest. Um, I always tell them I don't feel worthy, and they go, well, that's the devil talking to you, and it's gonna get worse and worse and worse as you get closer to the priesthood. Just know that any bad feeling you're feeling, you gotta remind yourself to flip it around, because that is all the devil. And I thought that I had been under some severe demonic attacks myself a couple times, and the wife too, but she's even noticed a weird vibe around here on and off during my studies that they're after you. It's like I know I have a wanted poster of me hanging up in hell from being a deliverance minister for many years, but they I know that they will do whatever they can between now, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. It'll be some years before I'm uh, an ordained priest, but I may be ordained into the diaconate this fall, and then I may take my permanent vows into the Order of Saint Benedict also this fall. Not guaranteed, but probably. But the priesthood will probably be a few years away from now.
Um, Sean, since we're working on this, since we're at the point when you have gone back and you've started your training, something that we know can be a positive change for people is religion. You see it all the time how people get into a bit of trouble and they're able to use religion and God and Jesus and uh, let's be honest, even Muhammad and whatever their religion is, they're able to take and they're able to pull their lives straight again. what is it about religion that makes people that grabs them by the heart and makes them you know inspires them to change thoughts, inspires them to change their path?
Well, people deep down inside somewhere know that God created them. And I think the Holy Spirit is always around trying to creep into our souls and remind us of that and guide us on the right path. And God's just waiting for, if you're not already a baptized Catholic or a Christian or born again or what have you, God's just waiting for you to, talk to him as if he's standing right there and say, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, God. And, I just want you to, I would love the Holy Spirit to enter me right now and, you know, intervene in my life and change my life around for me, and it'll happen. Everybody's got guardian angels. They're waiting for you to call on them. Call to your guardian angels to come and grab you by the arms and guide you where you need to go. And I think everybody deep down inside knows that this is all true. Knows that there is a God, and Jesus was his son, and the Holy Spirit exists, and the Holy Family, Mary and Joseph, and everybody knows that whole story is real. Of course, you have those that don't believe that it's real,
Hmm.
but I'm here to tell you, man. In the many years I've been doing this, I've lost track of how many non-believers, true atheists, that have come to me for help. And when I'm done helping them, mainly because they're having some severe paranormal activity, most of the time a very malevolent haunt or downright a demonic infestation, or God forbid somebody in their family's possessed. Um, and by the time it's all over with and I've helped them, they're changed. They're different. They're going to confession and going to mass and receiving communion and following, you know, they're on the path, Um, so that's really cool. I'm not much of a preacher. You're not going to ever catch me on the street corner or standing on a box with a sign that says, "Repent now, the end is near." But what I do like to do, and I've had many friends, some in the service, some not, and I was in the service too, so was my father, that have committed suicide. So what I like to do when I get the opportunity is I just like to uh, tell people stories, true stories of personal divine intervention that I've experienced and divine intervention that I know people that I'm very close to have experienced, to let them know that God is real. Just a reminder that God is real. Listen to this. And then I also like to throw in at least one good story to show them the devil is real too. And then they can choose which camp they want to be in after they hear, one or two good stories, the camp that I'm in, and maybe a good story about the other camp. And then they can make a decision which camp they want to be in. Um, and sometimes I find that has helped a lot of people. I I'm a bit of a, I like to lay a little tough love on people that think that they've hit rock bottom and they're about to they're about to do themselves in. Uh, it's it's sad, but it's also a very selfish move because your body doesn't belong to you. Your body is a temple, and God created it, and you are going to hurt him more than you'll ever know. But you're also selfish in the sense of all of the devastation psychologically that you do to everybody you've left behind that loves you. And I've had people that are right on the edge, about to jump off into the abyss, that say, "I don't know. I don't have any family. I have no friends. Nobody loves me." Trust me, there's people out there that love you. And there's no excuse why at the last moment, the very last moment, trust me on this. I've been drugged to hell at least one time. Trust me, you don't want to go there. And I'm not saying you're going to go there if you commit suicide. If you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and something happens, and maybe it's an accident, a drug overdose. And I spent many years as a raging alcoholic and drug addict. When I met Sharon 20 years ago, before we got married, she met a raging alcoholic and drug addict and raging alcoholic. Um, There's people I know that I suspected they accidentally overdosed and died and didn't want it
Yeah.
to happen. But at the very last moment, you've got to find the strength to just pick up the phone, because every single city has a suicide hotline. You need to reach out for help and get some help, because you're going to be forgiven of your sins and forgiven of that sin and accepted into heaven afterwards. But I believe there's going to be some dues to pay. If you take your own life on the other side, there's going to be some dues to pay. But the thing is you are have done something that makes God so sad, but the devil so happy, that I believe you come to face with them both after that act, and it's going to be dicey where you end up. So that's why I tell. That's why I like to tell people stories of divine intervention, and times a good story of when I've met the devil face to face, and how you don't want that. But I've lost friends, and there's been times for myself where I probably maybe should have died of an overdose. Um, and there's times where I thought about just driving my truck off a cliff or something. And I'm here to tell you, I can look at you now and tell you that 110% over the top glad that I didn't do that. Because I know that people that I would leave behind, how devastated they would be. And that's what also, during some of my darkest times, that's what kept me going, knowing that I don't need to lay that on them. I got to find a way to get out of this funk. And you mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm telling you, when the going got tough and I really got on my hands and knees and begged for help from God, and got it, uh, it that turned everything around. That's how a lot of drug addicts and alcoholics come to me and say, "How did you quit? You started drinking at such a young age and then doing hardcore drugs at such a young age and did it for so long. How did you just one day stop?" That's how I did it, because wanted it that bad that when I got on my hands and knees and I asked God, I said, "Listen, I can't do this without your help. And you know me better than I know myself. You've got to know that I'm not just blowing smoke up here, whatever it is you got on right now. Can't see you, can feel you, but you know that I'm serious right now. I need your help." And the day that I did that, it was months later. And I was just having dinner with Sharon one night. And she goes, "I hate to even bring this up because I don't want to jinx it, but can you remember the last time you had a drink or did any drugs? Even a little bump of cocaine in the bathroom when you and your buddies walked off and left me sitting there watching the band?" I'm all, I can't remember. I haven't, and I don't want to. I have no desire at all. And I've been offered alcohol, you know it, Sharon, and yeah, I've been offered drugs in the past few months, and you know I've turned it down. She goes, "You just one day stopped. You know that, right?" I go, "Yeah, I know." She goes, "How'd you do that?" And I tell, she's a Stevens minister in the Lutheran faith, in the Lutheran church, so she knows it. She goes, "Yeah, well, something reached down and just grabbed a hold of you and turns you around, and so good for you." So that I tell people, if you're truly ready to receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and ask for the Holy Spirit to come into your life, and ask for your guardian angels to come and grab a hold of you and walk with you, it'll happen. And that's the only way. When you are about to take that drug that you know is going to kill you, when you're about to put that gun up to your head, when you're about to drive your car off a cliff, when you're some people do it death by cop. They'll go and they'll commit a crime and then they'll
Yeah.
purposely do something so that the cops shoot them. When you're about to do that, trust me, just get on your knees and beg for God to help you. And if you do that and it doesn't work, send me hate mail. If you do that and it does work, send me a letter that you saw me tonight and you did that and it helped you. And that will make my day.
What is the church's what does the church want to see from somebody who is struggling? What did they try to nudge people to do immediately? Long term, they want to see you join the church and get to feel better with yourself, with God. But what do they want to see? What is their, like, and I hate using this term, go to immediate response? Is it go into confession? Is it, or hey, let us help you find a treatment place? What does the church try to do immediately for somebody who's struggling?
I think it differs from church to church, but I believe that they will determine by talking to the individual what the next plan of action should be, and at the very least, some type of counseling for sure. Whether that is somebody that is in the church, if they do have a priest that is taken, who's a great counselor, and there's priests that take those courses, they're at the diocese that this person's at. If they have a priest that does that, great. But if they have to send them away to, if they have to recommend a counselor, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist to the person, they would do that in a heartbeat rather than see this person do something to harm them. But the main thing is open the doors to them and welcome them open to arms and pray over them and pray with them and try and help them uh, get the Holy Spirit to come down and enter their lives and intervene in everything that's happening and change the thing around. But definitely try to help in any way possible.
It's it's okay to be scared.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
okay to have, it's okay to even have the thought in your head, but acting on it, always look for always look for a resolution, because look, this is final. I mean, yeah, there's an afterlife, but I mean, we're talking finality that your family has to deal with. There's, you mentioned something on people saying, well, I don't have any family, nobody out there loves me. Look, none of us can walk so lightly throughout life that we do not leave footprints. Somebody has touched somebody out there, somebody's heart.
Yep.
So I guess I better change that wording of that real quick. But you know, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to miss you, no matter who that.
Why do you think the church is so adamant about giving last rites if they can to someone who's on their deathbed or dying? Because it's that important. I've had people on their deathbed who've been have done some pretty bad things in life, and they were afraid that they never turned their back on God, but they sinned a lot and did some pretty bad things, and they were convinced that they weren't going to go to heaven, and so they needed last rites. And I've had people sit up in the bed and tell me they see things that I couldn't see. There's things here waiting for me to pass over and take me to a place where I don't want to go. You got to help me out here. That's why last rites are so important. And I think there's going to be a real battle over your soul after the suicide on the other side. And I can't tell you what the outcome of that battle is going to be after a person has done that. I don't know. I know that um, God will still love them and God will forgive them and God will accept them. But I do think because of doing that and all of the hurt and devastation they leave behind, I think that there's going to be some dues to pay.
I know some people are going to think that I'm making light of this, but I really want everybody to understand I'm not. Let's talk about the paranormal aspect of this. How many times have you dealt with the spirit that they've taken their own life, and now they're in a position where they're in limbo? They can't
All the time, brother.
cross
They
over.
they they tell me they see the light, they see their loved ones waving to them, and they're scared to go there because of judgment. And you have to convince them that, well, the reason why you even see that, if you were already somewhere else or trapped here, you wouldn't see the light, or your guardian angels or your family members that have gone before you waving for you to come on. You wouldn't see that if you weren't already accept it. There's no judgment there. You got to make the spirit believe that there is no judgment there. Trust me. Ask your, ask your guardian angels and your spirit guides to come to you and escort you to where you need to go. And don't be afraid. There's no judgment there. And usually by that time, the spirit also knows where they don't want to go. They can be in a limbo there, and they don't want to go to hell, but they're afraid of judgment in heaven. So they are stuck and they are in limbo. And so you have to help. You got to try and convince them that, well, obviously that's the place you need to end up. You're not of this time anymore or this dimension. You're dead. You're of the ages, and you don't belong here. You need to go and be with your family and with your creator.
I I just know that there are so many times that, and this is I'm still, I'm still fairly new to this the paranormal field, but I know through a lot of studies, and I know through your show alone how many people who have dealt with the sad spirit that they thought that there was no answer except for the taking of their life. And now we're dealing with somebody who is just lost in the afterlife. And it's that's always one of the saddest things to me, is that somebody was so lost, they took their life, and now they're so lost in the afterlife that they don't know where to go. And so you're talking about just a soul that possibly made an even worse decision, in which you can't make a worse decision than suicide. I mean, you really can't. Um, but Sean, I want you to think about this. And what would you tell somebody? And you deal with this on a daily basis, because one of the questions that we always get, are we at the end of times? And we talk about this almost every show. And my belief is no, we're just about at the end of tolerance, but we're not at the end of times. What are you going to say to somebody who says, Sean, I am really lost? I don't know what to do.
Are they ask? Is this person also asking me that is it end of times, and that's why they're thinking about ending their life because they think they're at end of times. They don't want to
Well,
be
into times, into their time, you
into their
know.
time. Um, I don't think I don't think there's ever a reason, no matter what. I don't think there's a reason to take your life, no matter what you've done, what you've experienced, what you're feeling. If it happens by accident, like a drug overdose, or you're the victim of a drive-by shooting, or you get hit by a car, or it happens in a car accident, um, it's not your fault. And even when people that are executed, um, back in the day hung, or nowadays in lethal injection, or the electric chair. Do any states even have the electric chair anymore? I'm not sure. I know lethal injection, but even some of those people, um, they can be lost afterwards, big time. And people that you know uh, die unexpectedly, they don't even realize sometimes that they're dead, and they got to come to terms with that first and let go of life. Um, so they can move on. And it's yeah, I've ran into a lot of not only spirits that feel that way, but people that feel like they've got nothing left to live for, and they've done some really bad things in life, and they're you know they're about to do it, and it also not only does it devastate everybody you leave behind that loves you, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the person you come to for help, like
Hmm.
me, because now I'm like, well, if I don't say and do the right thing here, and this person ends up going ahead with what their plan is, then I've failed, and that is that's hard to live with. So it's just not a good thing. But I can feel there's people that are watching that say, well, what about end of? Let's go back to the end of times thing. Is it end of time? This is what I want to say. I'm actually one of my classes right now is Revelation, which is mind blowing. But um, end of times can happen at any moment. But I don't believe we are in end of time. But let me add this, and this is right straight from the mouth of my bishop, and it's right there in Revelations if you read it. We won't know it anyway. If you are a true follower of Christ, you won't have to experience it. When the trumpets blow, you're already going to be in heaven. You won't even know it that it's happening down here. You'll just be taken up, and that's pretty cool. Because
Yeah.
end of times is not going to be fun to be around. Um, not
Well,
going to be fun.
the thing about end of times is I don't believe that we're at the end of times. I don't, you know, and I know the one thing that we can control is our end time, when it comes to making that decision. Look, we can't control when we die, not a single one of us, but unless, of course, we're making that end of life decision. And we just need to make sure that none of us are doing that. Sean, I want to thank you for joining us, and I would ask you to do me a favor, and would you uh, exit us with a prayer? But I would also ask that you light a candle for everyone who's struggling.
Do you know? Let me show you something here real quick. I Before we even went live, before I even clicked on the link, I said a prayer, and it's not the one that I'm thinking about saying again. But I lit one. I actually lit three right here for everybody watching that's within the sound of my voice or can see me. And all of these candles are burning for everybody who's within the sound of my voice tonight. That another thing I find a lot is a lot of people that are think that it's the next best move is to end it all. Either once had faith and have lost it all, or never had faith. That's why I like to tell uh, when I get the opportunity to tell people stories to prove to them God is real, and then that the devil is real too, and that don't lose your faith. Don't ever lose your faith, because then you're lost before you're not only lost, but you've lost the battle before you even had a chance to really fight for your own soul. So never lose your faith. But I do have a wonderful prayer for people that have lost their faith that are thinking about ending it. If you want me to end with that.
Before we end with that, I just thought of something real quick. Tell us about what yourself and your wife do, and what donations could do to help you guys continue.
Well, we're ghostbegone.biz. We are a husband and wife, um, spiritual um, deliverance, ghost busting team, if you will. And we help people get that extra unwanted guest out of their home to move on. And we also, uh, well, I have assisted in many exorcisms and taken authority over a few. Now that I'm a seminarian, we've been ordered by our bishop without special permission to not perform any more exorcisms. And that's okay, because now I'm in a completely different um, part of my religious vocation, if you will. But that's what we do. We help people with their paranormal issues, spiritual issues. I'm also a certified spiritual advisor, but mainly helping people with their spiritual issues and of all types. Doesn't matter if it's elemental or disembodied human spirit or the demonic. Um, we do our best to try and help people through those issues and those situations that are turning their life upside down and making it difficult for them to live a normal life. Oh,
Well,
donations. Well, if you go to the website, ghost be gone, ghost-b-gone.biz, it's all there. if you get anything in the Ghost store, proceeds go to things that I donate to. Proceeds from my book go there. Proceeds from people that sign up for my online course in spiritual warfare all go for stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. Um, so that helps some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too, because I am a vet tech. Been a vet tech for since I was 20 years old. Been in the animal care industry. So animals are very important to me. Children are very important to me, and helping people with issues that, you know, we have people that turn to us with problems when no one else will listen, and everybody that they've gone to for help looks at them like they're crazy and treats them like they're crazy. We don't do that because we we know it's all very very real. We've experienced it all.
Yep. And who do you have on this Friday?
Friday, February 24th, Dr. Heather Lee Landon. She is a paranormal authority, an author, a teacher, a speaker, um, and just a really cool lady. And I know you've met her a couple of times. Um, you name it, I think she's got a show called Ghost Ed 101. If I'm not, if memory serves me correctly, she's like very extremely knowledgeable um, paranormal authority, and just wrote a great book. I think she might even have a couple of books out too, but she's got a great team. She's a member of the Warren Legacy Foundation, the foundation that Ed and Lorraine Warren's
Yep.
grandson has carried on, and she's just a really cool lady. So that'll be a fun show.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. That's going to be right here on many of these channels. Once again, we are on Things Network all day long with the blessing of Jeremy York, the founder of Things Network. And I get this, Sean. I don't know if you know who Nick is, but Nick has prepared a slideshow around a army facility that's haunted, and
Wow.
that's going to be at 2:30 your time. So you might want to check that out. We start our little things block at 2 Pacific today, so it's going to be really interesting to see what all are going to be thrown out there. And then
What's he doing up at 2:30 in the morning?
oh, no, this is PM. This is
Oh,
PM.
okay, okay.
Yeah. No, it's only us wackadoos that are up this early in the morning, and we've had a few people pop on, and that's a great thing to
Let me
see.
run this past you real quick, and there's no wrong answer here. You know me. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. I do have a wonderful prayer that I'm thinking of if you want me to close with that. But if I'm not waking the wife up for like another hour, but I start making breakfast for her in about 30 minutes, if you want me to hang out just a little bit longer and tell a couple of these stories of experiencing extreme divine intervention and meeting the devil before I go into this closing prayer, I'd be more than happy to. Or we can just do the closing prayers and I can get out of your hair.
Oh, no, we can most definitely. You know what? If you're willing to share them, I'm willing to
I'm
listen.
feeling something's telling me I need to share them. So I'm feeling somebody is either hearing me or watching this and needs to hear something. And knowing that we're talking about veterans, um, I'm going to tell a quick story about my father, who was born and raised in Oklahoma during the Depression era. He went on to become, you can still look him up on greatest high school athletes to ever come out of Oklahoma. He's on that list with Jim Thorpe, of all people. He was a great
Oh,
athlete.
wow.
But he went on to serve 25 plus years in the United States Navy, Master Chief Radioman, Communications, served in World War II, Korea, Purple Heart recipient, ended his career in naval intelligence. But very early on in the war, he was actually aboard a ship called the USS Pecos, and it was in the Philippines when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So World War II hadn't even started yet. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. All military personnel are ordered to evacuate the Philippines because they know the Japanese are going there next. So my dad gets on his ship. Several hours out to sea, they encounter the enemy. His ship is sunk. He was one of the last people to get off the ship because he's doing the teletype machine and the SOS to try and get their what has happened to them, where their position is. Come and help us. We're going down. He ends up jumping in the water and hanging on to a piece of wood, I guess, sometime that afternoon and floated around out at sea that whole rest of the night till the following morning. Now he's bobbing up and down in the water. He's drinking in a lot of oil and gas that's floating around on top of the ocean. God knows else what else is floating around. So he's by the time morning rolls around, he's violently ill, barely hanging onto this piece of wood, just violently ill. And when the sun starts coming up, little did they know that there was no rescue coming. All naval ships in the area were told not to go back for survivors because there was too much Japanese in the area. But this one captain of this one ship, and if I'm wrong, God forgive me, I believe his name was Captain Abernathy. He was either the captain that went down with the ship that my father was on, shooting a gun at kamikaze pilots as the ship went down, or he was the captain of the ship that came back. But either way, there was a captain that disobeyed orders and ordered his ship to turn around and go back for survivors. So when the sun came up, there was this big fog over the water and you couldn't see, but they could hear a ship coming. They thought it was the Japanese going to cruise up and just start shooting people in the water because that's before the sun went down and it got too dark. Japanese planes were shooting sailors in the water as they were floating around. So that's what they thought was coming back for them. But when the ship got there and the fog cleared enough, they could see it was a United States Navy ship. It was a mad dash. All these sailors are swimming to the ship for their lives. And of course, they're throwing nets and ropes and life preservers over the side. My dad's too sick to get to the ship. He just can't make it. He's so sick. He's trying and trying and trying. Now, mind you, he believes in God, but he's not a religious person at all. He's not saved, but he's a good man. He's trying to get to the ship and he can't get there. He's almost there and he hears over the loudspeaker, prepare to get underway. And he even hears the engine start up. And he decides, well, they may drag me back dead, but they're not going to leave me here. And he finds a piece of rope floating in the water attached to the ship. He starts wrapping this rope all around him, between his legs, around his chest, around his neck, everywhere he can wrap this rope around. He wraps himself around and he hears the propellers engage and the ship starts to move and he can feel himself start to get pulled through the water. He remembers hearing a voice say, there's one more over the side. And he remembers glancing up and he can see the silhouette of a large muscular sailor jump over the side of the ship and while hanging on with one arm, grabs my dad by the scruff of the neck, picks him up and throws him onto the deck of the ship. Well, where my dad landed, he passed out. He was probably out for 48 hours. But when he woke up, he's got this little makeshift tent over him, and there's some corpsmen and doctors working on him. When he could get to his feet, he said, I've got to find this sailor and thank him for saving my life. Well, he scoured that ship front to back, top to bottom, couldn't find the sailor. Nobody even knew of any sailor that fit that description, and nobody even remembered seeing that incident happen. It was like 1 second my dad wasn't on the ship, and the next second my dad was on the deck. So my dad went through life knowing you couldn't convince him otherwise that that wasn't his guardian angel that saved him. And so that turned him right there. Well, sometime, I don't know if it was during the Korean War or both wars were over, not sure when, but he eventually was assigned to work for the ambassador to Brazil in the diplomatic corps, still in naval intelligence. Probably started getting into original NSA stuff, maybe.
Hmm.
But he goes down to Brazil for a while, and that's where he meets, falls in love with my mother. May she rest in peace. She was Brazilian, devout Catholic, and very spiritual. She was born and raised in a little town called Cruz dos Homens, which is a little village up in the mountains. And there's no veil there. the dead walk among the living as though like it's totally normal and people accept it. It's not a big deal. And they are also in the Guinness Book of World Records for the town with the most churches. True story. I don't know if they're still own that trophy, but at one time that village owned that trophy. They have both my older sisters in Brazil before he gets transferred back to the States. So now my two sisters, older sisters, I'm not born yet, obviously. My two sisters are, and my mother and my dad are living in a base in Northern California. He goes back out to sea on a mission. Now, my mother wasn't supposed to have any more children because the birth of my second oldest sister was so difficult on her. They feared that her and or the baby wouldn't survive the pregnancy, so there was no plans to have another child. So my dad is flown back by emergency from wherever they were at back to this base because somehow he's contracted spinal meningitis,
Oh no.
cephalitis, probably some other stuff, and he's suffering probably severe things from this disease. And there's no cure for these diseases then. I don't know if there is now, but he's dying. My mom gets a phone call saying, "We've got him strapped to a hospital bed here at the base hospital. We don't expect him to survive till morning. If you want to see him alive again, you better get here." So my mother finds somebody to watch the kids. She gets to drive a ride to the hospital, and they have my dad strapped in because when he's not in a coma and he's awake, he's like a madman trying to hurt people and hurt himself. So makes whoever's driving her to the hospital, she makes them stop at the base church. She goes in the church, and I don't recommend people do this, but she made a deal with God. And she said, "Listen, if you spare his life from that moment on, for the rest of my life, I will, whenever I go to church, I'll do it on my hands and knees, and I'll have another child." She goes to the hospital. She's laying by my dad's bed, and she wakes up and she falls asleep and wakes up that morning. There's my dad sitting up in bed, totally normal, still strapped in, but he's like, "Edith, why am I strapped to this hospital bed? What's going on?" She screams. The hospital nurses and the doctors come in and they undo my father. They run all these tests on him, and they can't find any traces of any of the diseases left in his body. So my mother kept her part of the bargain until she was too old and physically unable to do it any longer. Every time she went to church, she did it on her hands and knees. And she did have another child. Ta-da! Yours truly. And
And
so
we
she
now call him the Rev.
and she would always tease me growing up that I'm going to do something. I'm her miracle baby, and I'm going to do something great for God one day. But now let's get off the folks and talk about my wife. My dad did get baptized before he did die, though, so that was great. They're both in heaven now together, and I feel them all the time here. So now my wife and I go and work this very ugly case. So that's one camp I want people to think about, the God camp. Now my wife is uh, the healthiest person I know. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, no history of cancer in her family. We go and
And
work
she
this,
puts up with you.
and she's 16 years older than me and works 6 days a week from sun up to sundown, and I can barely go to work 3 days a week part time. So, um, so she's like the old school cougar. But here we go. We get called in on this case. This newlywed couple need our help. The wife is being, for lack of a better description, raped by some unseen force every night when they go to bed in front of the husband. Neither one of them can do anything to stop it. Whenever the husband tries to stop it, he comes under attack. So we go there to try to help. This is before I got on the path to become an ordained minister. I'd never ran into the mother lode of all haunts or dealt with the demonic, so I didn't really know what I was doing. Well, apparently we did something wrong, and whatever was there followed us home. Took up residence here in the house for about 8 weeks. During that time, my wife was the one that was coming under attack. When I finally got help in the paranormal community from this exorcist I knew, taught me how to get whatever it was in the house out of here, my wife was left with three very rare forms of cancer, rare forms. And it came on like gangbusters practically overnight. Squamous cell carcinoma of the tongue. In a matter of days, her tongue became a golf ball size tumor. She couldn't talk. She couldn't swallow water. Extremely painful. That cancer eventually went down and became a very rare form of throat cancer. That cancer eventually spread to a month of lymph nodes in her neck, and then eventually spread down and became medullary thyroid cancer. People are thinking, well, thyroid, they just take it out and give them medication. Well, yes, but not medullary. Medullary thyroid cancer is the worst of the two. There's no cure, and it metastasizes usually to the lungs, and then you're a goner. When she was already a goner, they didn't tell her that, but they would tell me on the side, she's not going to survive this. So she had a feeding tube in for a year, 35 straight treatments, day after day after day of radiation, 8 weeks of chemo, which they had to stop after 6 weeks because it almost killed her. They had her in the isolation ward for weeks because she went from like 130 pounds down to like 90 pounds. I would come home every day from work and have just all of these sticky notes on the front of my fridge. How her day, what's going on with her because she can't talk.
Hmm.
It was brutal. So here I am. I'm just waiting. They wanted to take her tongue out, fly her to UCLA, and take a chunk of her ass off and make her a fake tongue. She said, "Just let me die. I don't want to do that." So it's one night here. I had already went and worked another case during this time by myself, and had such a severe demonic attack happen to me that in addition to what was going on with my wife and what happened to me, I left the field. I said, I am done. I'm done with this. I left the field. I was never going to do anything related to the paranormal again. So this is one of those nights where my wife is having a really bad night. I'm convinced. I'm 100% convinced that I'm going to wake up in the morning, she's going to be dead. That's how bad of a night she was having. So I said, well, no one's going to break in the house. I've got two mastiffs that are sleeping on either side of her. She's passed out. I'm going to take a page out of my mother's book. And I knew of an all night prayer chapel around the corner that I went to. And I crawled on my hands and knees from the front door to the altar, threw myself to the mercy of the courts, the highest courts, and begged for God to spare my wife's life and that I would do anything he needed me to do for him from that point on. But you got to spare my wife's life. She doesn't deserve this. I come home. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30. My phone's ringing. I'm like, who's calling? I had a good friend that I'd known all my life, grew up together, known him since I was a little kid, known him all my life, best friend. He has since moved many, many years prior to this. He moved to the East Coast and he was on his deathbed dying of advanced colon cancer. He was a die hard, over the top atheist. He
Yeah.
says, once we're dead, there's nothing. That was his, it's him on the phone. I'm all, bro, what's going on? So, well, I wanted to call. I'm going to try and get through this without getting too emotional. I just wanted to say goodbye because I don't got much time left. But I wanted you to know something that I just saw God, and He wanted me to tell you that Sharon was going to live, and you need to continue to fight those responsible. And God bless him if he wasn't right, man. Sharon made an immediate turnaround. My sister sent me some holy water from Lourdes, France, where the Virgin Mary once appeared. That was the only stuff that would go down her throat was this holy water. I'd make her drink it. Made an immediate turnaround. So now it's been several years since, and the last um, full body CT and other tests we've run, there's knock on wood, there is no traces of any of her cancers left. I will add this. Yes, she had some life saving operations. Yes, the chemo saved her life. Yes, the radiation saved her life. Um, but she wasn't expected to survive that. It was extreme divine intervention that turned that situation around. So she's still here, still stubborn, still wants to go on cases with me, and that's frightening. But um, I had to get back in the field because that was God's message. She's going to live, but you need to go back to fighting those responsible. Um, so there you go. You've got one camp, and you've got another camp that's completely able to do what they did to my wife. What camp do you want to be in? God is real, the devil is real. You can find help. It doesn't matter how dire straits you think you're in. If you're about to end it, as a favor for me, just pick up the phone and call somebody, anybody, and say, I need help. And ask God to help you. And after He helps you, if you wholeheartedly and you mean it, wholeheartedly accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and you ask God to send the Holy Spirit down to enter you and intervene in your life and ask your guardian angels to grab a hold of you and walk you to where you need to be to get the help you need to get. If that doesn't change your life, then write me a letter and tell me I'm full of shit. But if it changes your life, I want you to write me a letter and tell me also that it changed your life and tell me what's going on with your life right now. So now, as a favor to me, you got to wait a little bit longer. If you're right there, if you're waiting for this show to end for you to just go out with a bang, as a favor to me, just do that. And then either send me a letter telling me I'm full of shit or tell me how it changed your life. And I want to hear from you either way. So postpone your plans for a little bit as a favor to me since I stayed up to 1:30 in the morning. Burt Reynolds stayed up to 1:30 to help Ned Beatty with his 22-hour marathon broadcast. Who does that? For all of you, there's help out there. All you got to do is pick up the phone and make a call, even if it's 911. If you don't know a suicide hotline or a good friend, or you don't have any family left, or you're homeless and watching this on somebody's phone, grab the phone from them and call 911. Get some help.
And if you're out there and you might as well press the record button because you're going to hear me say this 100 times throughout the next 21 hours. If you're with somebody who's having these issues, do not walk away thinking this will pass. Please make a call. Call us 970-909-0751.
I'm gonna
970-909-0751. Tell us where you're at and we will help you find someone because and I don't this is a show about veteran suicide, but I don't give a damn if this is just a person that you met in grade school, no service whatsoever. Suicide rates throughout America are ridiculously high. Don't
You know what? There's no.
ever walk away.
It's not a coincidence that we're doing this on Ash Wednesday. This would be a great day for you to find the nearest Catholic church that is having Ash service today. They usually have confession a couple of hours before. Go to confession. Doesn't matter what you say to the priest. You're talking to God. It doesn't matter. Go to confession. Go to mass. Receive Holy Communion. I don't care if you're baptized or not. And get some ashes before you leave that church. If it's an ash service, you'll get ashes before you leave that church. This would be a great day to do that and see if that doesn't point you in the right direction. And you might even meet somebody there at church who's doesn't even know that they're about to meet one of the greatest people they're going to know in their life, this person that needs their help. Because there's people out there that want to help and they just need somebody to come up and say, there's people that need to help as much as people need help. And maybe that will bring you together with somebody. And most churches have support groups and people that you can reach out to right there. So, in honor of Ash Wednesday, there's no coincidence that today's Ash Wednesday. Do that. I promise you, it'll change your life.
The the point is don't just walk away and think it's going to get better. If somebody is in that place,
If you have been clinically diagnosed with a mental illness, and you're on medications, don't just stop taking your medications. Don't stop seeing your doctor.
yeah.
You got to continue seeing your doctor. You got to stay on your meds. And you got to fight this thing. You got to fight this thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that you need to remember is even in the worst of times, we think that, oh my God, nobody's been through this, nobody knows what I'm going through. I hate to burst your bubble. Yeah, there are people who are out there who have went through something very, very similar to this. This might be the first time that you've experienced it. Your situation may be different, but there are people who know exactly what you're going through. We can help you find these treatments. Please do not take your life. You're going to hurt everyone you know. Okay. Your life is more valuable than you have any idea. Your life is very valuable, and that's veteran, civilian, whoever. Look, this world is a better place with you. Please
Absolutely.
stick with us. Well, Sean, it's time for you to go and do your breakfast. So why don't you go on ahead and please bless us with the prayer.
Absolutely. I have a wonderful prayer here that I fell in love with from my Saint Benedict's prayer book. And it's for all the people that have either had faith once and lost it, or never had faith and are looking for it, or still have a lot of faith. Will love these words. And there's also no coincidence down here that the bookmarker where the prayer is happens to be a prayer to your guardian angel. Rewind this later if you need it. It's a very simple one. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom his love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen. But this prayer that I want to pray for everybody is called Searching for God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I offer this prayer up to everybody within the sound of my voice. O Lord my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess. And still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Please make sure that you join us every Monday at 8 p.m. East, 5 p.m. Pacific, and every Friday at 5 p.m. East and 4 p.m. Pacific. No,
No,
sorry,
2 p.m.
2 Pacific. 2 Pacific. Yeah. Yeah.
And you get to see
That's pretty
Zach
bad.
again because
I'm
he's
already
my,
getting this confused, and I'm only an hour and a half in of 22 hours. So,
and you get to
uh,
see us both again because Zach's my co-producer of the show, and he pops in every once in a while to talk to my guest and to give me a hard time. And I'm always there. And the following Monday, this Friday is Heather Lee Landon, but the Monday right after that is last Monday of the month. So it's Happy Medium Monday with Susan Ahern, who will give free psychic readings for the whole hour. So if you ever wanted to get a free psychic reading from a true angel walking among us, Susan Ahern, the Happy Medium herself, tune in Monday also.
and she is going to be joining us at 10:30 this morning. So,
I know. I can't wait. If I'm not passed out and dead to the world, not literally, because I
yeah,
will go. I'll be watching.
I'm really hoping I'm not passed out and dead to the world at 10:30 this morning. So noon 30 Eastern time for that one. So, but Sean, much love to you, to Sharon, and everyone. Please keep up the good work. Um, our our lives are better with you in it, and I think that lives can be changed with with your outlook, and I appreciate everything that you've done.
I love you, brother. God bless you. God bless everyone out there. I love all of you, and I will see you this Friday, brother.
Yeah, I will be there.
Hopefully you're not going to be in the hospital.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to be there. I may be a drooling mess, but hey,
Okay.
it's new.
All
So
right.
I mean, but
All right,
thank you
Ned.
very
This is
much.
Bert signing off.
Have a good one. Sean Whittington, the Rev, one of my dear friends. I think it's kind of funny when I took over producing his show. It's because Adrian took a job to where she couldn't do it. She was a producer, and it was hilarious to me because the first time I listened to his show, I was like going, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not a Catholic. I don't know what he's talking about. First show, struggled to get through it a little bit. I was like going, I don't know. Second show, started realizing how funny he was, and I started talking to him, and now, like he says, now I interrupt the show whenever I feel it's necessary, which is probably really rude of me, but we have fun, and he allows me to do it. So please make sure that you check out everything that Sean and his beautiful wife Sharon do. Go to his website, ghost/b/gone.biz, and do check out his book in there. Check out all of his merchandise. Pick some stuff up. Help him continue to do stuff because this is something that Look, uh, maybe you don't believe. Okay, maybe you're a skeptic. Not a problem with that. You know, I'm still not quite sure where I sit with all this. All I do know is that there are people who do believe. There are people who do think that these things are really affecting their lives. You can't discount what somebody else is thinking. If you do that, you're doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing a disservice to them. Okay? You don't have to feel the same way other people do. And it's not a terrible thing to disagree with people. But if somebody feels like something is ruining their life, and if it's something in the paranormal field, get a hold of some people like Sean. Call anybody from Things Network. You all know right now, a lot of you guys are meeting me for the first time. Like I've said before, some of you know me as Mr. Adrian, and that's fine with me. Uh, Jeremy and the Things staff have been so very kind and offered me this opportunity to talk about the veterans that we're losing every day. And I'm going to thank them all day long. So that's another thing that you're going to hear. But folks, there is no way that we should just take and walk away when somebody's having an issue. Okay, if somebody talks to you and says, Hey, I'm having these thoughts, please remember these thoughts are there for a reason. They're not there, you know, even if that reason is trying to get attention. Do you want to risk it? If you walk away without doing anything, and look, not all of us are suited for sitting down and listening to somebody. A lot of us, we have our own problems, and listening to somebody else's drastic problems when it comes to suicidal thoughts, or oh my god, my kid is a pain in the butt, or whatever. A lot of us, that's just more pressure that we have to add onto our plate. We're not able to do that. That does not make you a bad person, it makes you a realist. Okay, but what you can do is, if you see, oh, let me turn the other way. Right on the bottom of this little logo here, you see all these organizations right here. These are just a few of the organizations throughout this wonderful country of ours that you can call, and they can connect you with somebody to help this person who has come to you and asked you for help. Call your local, in which you don't always have to agree with them, mental health facility. I know that I don't always agree with the one that we have here in our area. You know, Adrian and I have taken custody of a young man who has mental difficulties. Okay, he is developmentally disabled. His processing is a lot different than ours. And this is something that, we're not accustomed to. Adrian and I were both blessed, combined with five beautiful, healthy children that went through all of the struggles that every kid does, that is still going through all the struggles that every kid does. So this was kind of a new step. I get, Adrian has had a little bit of experience in dealing with this. Me, never. And so it's brand new to me and trying to figure this out. And so we have to deal a lot with a lot of mental health facilities, and some of them, they're frustrating, they're scary, and it's very easy to see why people are saying, well, I don't want to go back there. There are other alternatives. Okay, we just cannot leave people standing alone. As a human being, we are not, yeah, a lot of us like being alone sometimes, just like, oh my God, get away from me for a little bit, leave me alone. A lot of us are like this. It's not a problem, but none of us want to be alone. We all want to have somebody there sometime. If you can be that somebody that helps somebody not take this step, not even for your own thoughts, for your own self image, but could you imagine what you could do for the world? Because look, as I end every show by saying, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting us all. Because a person in pain is a person that's going to show that pain. We've got people right now, we all know this. I'm not announcing anything that's brand new. We got people who are going through a lot of pain in a lot of different areas. And they're going out and they're expressing it by hurting others. I'm not saying that if you walked up to them and you threw an arm around their shoulder, it would have changed their life. But a lot of people have been, just kind of thrown away. They've been left in a position where, well, you know what? You're on your own. You're crazy. I don't want to talk to you. Well, let's not do this. Let's make sure that we give everyone a chance. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Okay. Again, we were joined by the Rev Sean Whittington. Um, you can check him out at ghostbegone.biz. Please go and see what he's about. A lot of good things. We have a great time on his show. It really is. It's a fun time. If you want to be involved in this podcast, if you have experience dealing with someone who has attempted the end of life, or if you yourself have thought about ending your life, if you have a program that is aimed at saving lives, we want to talk to you. If you want to just get up here and express to people, hey, look, we're here, we love you, please don't harm yourself, because harming yourself is harming everyone. We want to talk to you. All you got to do is send me a message via the comments. on your little computer machine there, or you can go to this, and of course I got to switch back here, or you can go to this wonderful little thing, which is my business card. It's my virtual business card, and you can send me an email. Don't send me a text message right now because my phone's up in my bedroom. All you're going to do is wake up my wife and get her mad at me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't need that right now. So, but we have a lot more to come today. I want to thank all of my partners. Look, you guys can see a lot of them up top. You can see a lot of the people who are supporting what we're doing. This is our second year of doing this, and I dedicated 22 hours of February 22nd. 22 hours is the importance of the 22. February 2nd month 22 is all the I'll be honest, it's marketing. We put millions and millions and millions of dollars into marketing the number 22 when veterans taking their own lives for 22 a day. Folks, that number is low. Um, Depending on which outlet you go to, you're going to see everything from as Biden said the other night, President Biden said the other night, he was saying 18 a day. That's incorrect. If you look at the ones who overdose, still considered a suicide. I have experience where I have lost a loved one to a drug overdose and then called it voluntary suicide or accidental suicide. Sorry about that. So, I mean, there's, depending on what number you see, 22 is very low, but we don't have a 44th day or 44th hour in the month or 44th day in the month, and we don't have 44 hours in the day. Thank God. I would try to work even more, and you guys don't deserve to have to listen to me for 44 hours. Um, you we do ask for donations today. Donations will be split in between 8 organizations. Okay. Community Pay It Forward ourselves are not keeping anything. Community Dare to Care, which is one of our programs where we take in donated clothing and we give it to anybody who needs. We take in furniture when we can store it, and we give it away for free to anybody who needs it. School supplies, children's supply materials, housewares. We take these in and we give them away for free to people who need help. We will take 1/8 of all donations, but everything will be donated equally. We are also working with some of these other, or we're working with these other organizations, and these are all very, very great organizations. The veteransranch.org. This is a equine therapy in Florida. J.R. Smith is a dear friend of mine. He works really, really hard. He is another fellow patriot. He did not serve, but we're serving now because we're serving the ones who have served us. So check out the Veterans Ranch. Right there is the website. If you want to find them, if you go to Community Pay It Forward and you hit the mission partners, you can find all the website and all the other information about them. Veteranshonoringveterans.org. We will be joined by a dear friend of mine, Mr. Bart Bartholomew. He's going to be joining us later on in the show, and he's going to be talking about why Veterans Honoring Veterans exists, why he created this, what he's trying to do. And it's just another way to make sure that all veterans remember